You're not going to like today's video, but I got to be real with all of you. Royal Caribbean's cruise prices are going to continue going up, and I don't think there's going to be any change in that trend. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer by any means, but the writing is on the wall, in my opinion, based on what Royal Caribbean's been saying in some of its latest earnings releases. Royal Caribbean executives recently were talking to Wall Street and analysts about the state of the business, and they saw a clear willingness on behalf of the consumer to not only book more cruises, but pay more for them. The company actually had to adjust its earnings forecasts because they're getting more bookings than they expected at higher prices. During Royal Caribbean Group's second quarter earnings call, which occurred earlier in July, Chief Financial Officer Neftali Holtz cited an example of bookings for Caribbean cruises for the coming few months. Caribbean cruises in the third quarter will make up 42% of all Royal Caribbean Group sailings, and a lot of people are willing to pay more to go on them. Caribbean cruises for this time period are booked in higher numbers and at a higher price, which is generating more revenue for Royal Caribbean, generally because of newer ships and higher pricing on existing ships. And that's all being supported by the fact that a lot of people really like going to the private island of Perfect Day at Coco Cay. The top reason why you should expect Royal Caribbean cruise prices to continue to rise is because customers are demonstrating that they will pay higher prices. Looking ahead to the rest of 2024, Royal Caribbean Group CEO Jason Liberty talked about this trend during his earnings call. And essentially, they're seeing more revenue for cruises booked in the third and fourth quarter, and that's being driven by the fact that people are paying a higher price for them. He even said, quote, "I think it's a really strong indication that not only the willingness to pay more, but these prices continue to increase as we build and manage demand." To put this in perspective, Royal Caribbean Group's revenue for the second half of 2024 is 25% higher than it was in 2019, and 2019 was the previous high water mark for the cruise industry. If 2024 looks good right now, well, 2025 looks even better for the company. They're taking more bookings for 2025 than for 2024, and that means the higher pricing trend will continue into 2025 and beyond. Mr. Liberty said, "We're in a very strong booked position for 2025. Pricing is up and increasing are the trends that we continue to see. I think we feel really good about 2025. The pattern shows pricing continues to accelerate." When you combine sky-high onboard spending, prices, and demand, it's a formula for higher prices on average, and that probably means, for consumers like you and me, less cheap cruise deals on the horizon. Some of you may be listening to this and think to yourself, well, no. Consumers are going to buck against higher prices, things are going to change, but Royal Caribbean really does not see that on the horizon. One Wall Street analyst actually asked about pricing sensitivity because customers on land-based hotel operators were seeing some of that, but Royal Caribbean really rebuffed that notion based on what they're seeing from their bookings. Executives said that the booking window continues to extend and people are planning further out, and their willingness to pay more for an incredible cruise vacation continues to increase. I think part of the reason why Royal Caribbean really believes that cruise bookings are stronger than land vacations is because of the value gap between the two types of vacations, which Mr. Liberty estimates is around 20%. What that really means is that a cruise is about 20% cheaper or better value, if you will, than a land vacation. For consumers, it's a sobering prediction of what the future holds in terms of prices, but it's important to understand what's happening within the cruise industry so you can plan appropriately. Basically, don't hold out hope for a cheaper deal in the future because it may simply not be there. But if you're a bargain hunter, there are still options out there. While the trend is definitely moving cruise prices higher on average, it's still possible to find an ultra cheap price. Royal Caribbean prices its cruises largely based on supply and demand, and there are going to be deals out there, especially on sailings that have less demand. First and foremost, Royal Caribbean will always have the highest prices on its newer ships, like Utopia of the Seas or Icon of the Seas, and that's because new ships always command a higher price because they have the latest and greatest features on them. Generally speaking, you're still going to find lower prices on older, smaller ships. As an example, try Adventure of the Seas out of Port Canaveral instead of Utopia of the Seas, or Freedom of the Seas out of Fort Lauderdale instead of Icon. Some of the best cruise deals are on longer sailings to take place while school is in session. Transatlantic crossings remain some of the best deals from a per night cost basis. Transatlantic cruises take place in the spring and fall when cruise ships migrate from North America to Europe and then back again. The reason why transatlantics are cheaper is usually because they're longer, around 10 to 14 nights, and a lot of families can't go on vacation for quite that long of a period. Plus, families can't book them anyway because their kids are in school. The other strategy for a really good deal is, well, a little bit of luck. Sometimes there's a last-minute cruise deal that pops up, and other times there are specific sailings in the coming months or years that are priced lower. Spotting these cruise deals can be just plain luck, or you could also rely on a really good travel agent that monitors prices during the course of their daily work and can alert you when they spot something good. While I wouldn't expect cruise prices to drop across the board, savvy consumers should be able to find some of these deals. But for newer ships, don't expect a lot of wiggle room. It's why booking early is still the best strategy to get the best prices possible on these types of ships. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I wanted to share all of this with you because I think it's really important to understand where the industry is going so you can plan properly. Let me know in the comments below if you're still friends with me, and more importantly, how will you plan your cruises coming up, and will you make any changes to how you book your sailings? I'd love to know what you're thinking about cruise pricing and how you'll manage your vacations in the coming years. While you're down below our video, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That way YouTube lets you know when we have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.